Well, hello everybody. I hope you're joining me this evening. It is September the 10th, and we're going live tonight talking about designer series paper. And I'm going to try to get on here so I can hopefully get to where I can see some comments tonight. Maybe I'd love to finally figure this kind of thing out. So if you're joining me, welcome. I'm going to try to figure this out really quick on this iPad. It's acting like it's just not wanting to display them for whatever reason. So maybe it's just not wanting to play right for some reason. Still, I think I'm going to have to do some more testing with this, but that's okay. I'm going to continue to play with that and see what we can figure out maybe for next time. I've thought I had it sorted out, but it doesn't look like I quite do. So if you're joining me, welcome. I hope you're having a great week. We're going to talk about designer series paper tonight. And my name's Trish Todd. So thank you again for spending your Tuesday evening with me. We're going to do two quick projects. One's going to be a little bit quicker than the other. And the first one, we are going to do a little bag that will hold this. So for those of you that know what these are our Bath & Body Works little hand sanitizers. So I was looking for some holders and some ideas so that I could give these as gifts, and I ran across something and I kind of customized it. So if you've looked online, you've seen some other demonstrators do gift bags with our designer series papers. And they have done a great job, but I did kind of customize mine kind of to using, instead of two pieces of paper, I'm using one. So that way I don't waste quite as much. And since it's such a small item, I didn't need a big bag. So I'm going to use my trimmer, my bone folder, and my take your pick tool. So I'm going to start out, and I will post my template with my measurements on it to my blog in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. And I will try to give you the measurements as I go here. And we'll take off and get started. So I'm going to start, this piece is 7 3/4 by 4 1/2. And this is the Magnolia Lane DSP. It is part of the buy 3 get 1 free special going on right now. And I'm going to start by scoring at 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to let me go this way, 3 1/4. So I'm going to kind of be going to the left. So my next score is at 3 1/4. Then my next score is at 4 1/2. And then my next one is all the way over here at 7 1/4. So then I'm going to flip my paper sideways, and I'm going to go at 1 1/4. I get it lined up here. And then I'm going to flip it again, and I'm going to go at 1 1/4 again. So there's all my scoring done, okay? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Gotta have some fun with this. So now I'm going to take my snips, and right here in these center score lines, and sometimes you can see it on some patterns better than others. Hopefully you can see it on this black. I'm just going to cut straight up to the next score line. Nothing fancy, just a straight little cut. And this is all the cutting I'm going to do on this little project. So again, if you're joining me, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm still haven't figured out this comment thing. I'm gonna have to play with it and see if I can get someone to help me test some things and figure this out. So maybe someone smarter than me can tell me what I'm doing wrong. So then, depending on which side you want your outside of your box to be is depending on which way you want to score it. So I think I want this to be the outside of my bag. So I'm going to make sure that I score all these pieces to going in. Or I'm going to fold them with my bone folder so that I get that good crisp fold. And actually I'm going to start on my end pieces, and at this 1/2 inch mark I'm going to fold these back this way right here. And then I'm going to go back in here and do this. So that way when I burnish it, I've got that little flap all ready for me. I'll come over here and do the same with this other side. And go to this end, and I'm going to fold it back the same way. This just acts as a little decoration and a little bit of extra support at the top of your bag. So for those of you that know me and stamp with me regularly, you know that 3D projects are not usually something that I do a lot of. I tell people my brain just doesn't generally work in 3D. Probably because I have no depth perception, so it just doesn't seem to work for me. So, but occasionally when I make my mind up to do something, I will do it. So, and this is one of those times. So I'm going to fold that in. Nothing scientific there. And I like to start on just a side. So I'm just going to put some of my liquid glue here. Doesn't take a ton of it, but I want to make sure it holds. And I'm using liquid glue because I want a little bit of time to kind of make sure it's in position before it starts sticking. Tear and tape is kind of non-forgiving, so if I mess up, I don't really have much time with it. I don't have an undo button. With the glue, I can wiggle for a couple of seconds if I need to. I'm using my bone folder to help push that glue and those pieces together, and you can tell they're kind of sticking to my grid paper. Make sure that that feels like it's holding good. I think we're good. I think I'm going to put just a touch of a little dab right there. Decide to come off the bottle. Give it about 3 or 4 good seconds and it should be good. So now I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Figure out which side, which piece I want to be the top and the bottom. And again, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to just use my bone folder in here again just to make sure that I get it some good pressure going on and really get that glue to stick. So now you can see kind of what I mean by how forgiving the glue is. It's not quite like I want it. Still got a little wiggle there I can do because it's not wanting to line up just perfect for me. And crafters are a little OCD, so it does matter. To us, nobody else would probably ever care or notice, but we do, so. But we're gonna roll with it. So there's the main part of the bag. Pretty much done. But we are crafters, we are stampers, we have to embellish. So that's what we're gonna do next. So this is just a handheld circle punch. I don't think Stampin' Up! Sells them anymore, but I didn't see anything else that would kind of work for what I wanted to do. So hopefully you have one handy, or you could always just staple the ribbon to the side if you just have a stapler. That would work as well. But I wanted to punch mine. I just love to punch. Paper, that is. So I'm going to put through here, if I can get a hold of it. There it comes. I went ahead and put me a knot in one end to kind of make it a little bit less time consuming here. Sometimes it takes a double knot, so just pull it back through and loop her in. And I'm focusing on my knot tying here. It shouldn't be all that scientific, but sometimes it just gets that way. So there we go. And I'm going to kind of pull this kind of tight just so that I have a little bit of room to work, distance to work with on my ribbon here to kind of go through and tie a knot again. not wanting to get my fingers where they need to be tonight, huh? I think everybody has those moments. That's okay. We win out in the end, right? Just kind of push it towards the end there. Push it towards the end. Keep pushing it. There we go. And then just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and try to do another double one. And that way I know it won't just pull through the hole as soon as I put anything in it, right? So there we go. So there's my little bag with my pretty little ribbon ready to go, right? Not quite. That would be too easy. So we're not quite done decorating. So this is my 1.5 inch circle punch. Just punching through. So I'm done with him. Set him over here out of my way. And if you look at this paper, it matches up with the die, with the coordinating dies that go with the bundle. And one of the dies actually fits this flower shape. So that is one of the things that you can do with some of our designer series paper. Some of the images are set up to punch out directly or run with some of the dies that match it. So you don't have to stamp and color or fussy cut these out or anything like that if you want that beautiful little image. So it's a pretty cool little trick there if you're interested in it. So I went ahead and die cut mine out ahead of time. So I'm going to just glue that on there. It'll stay still. I'm going to pop my flower up on a couple of dimensionals here. Kind of put him on there. And then we can't have something without stamping on it, right? So I cut another strip of just a scrap of the designer series paper off another pattern. And on the back side was this pretty little striped side. So I'm going to take the Enjoy Today stamp that's from the stamp set that coordinates with this. And I'm just going to stamp it straight on this designer paper in my black ink. Hopefully you don't get my head in this. There we go. Hold it for a couple of seconds. I can stamp awesome. I can stamp awesome. Yep, I can. Woohoo! Yes, you have to say the magic phrase or it won't turn out awesome. So, take this, and I'm just going to kind of snip my end off here. I think I'm going to snip this end off just a teeny bit here, just because, again, we're a little OCD sometimes. And I've got some mini dimensionals that I'm going to pop this up on. So I think the way that I measured this out, you could actually get 3 of these bags out of a piece of 12 by 12. All you'd have to do is change the one dimension to a 4 1/4, which is pretty easy to do once you kind of play with it. So I think, just because I want to, I'm going to come in here and just do this and see if I can cut it straight. What do you think? Yay, I did! Pretty straight. Awesome. Awesome! So there's that. And my little hand sanitizer just fits straight in, right? And pretty sturdy. So there you go. So this is a couple of the things that you can do with our designer series paper. Again, you can make 3D projects out of it, envelopes, any kind of thing you want to make. Just make sure you consider what you're putting in it, because it's not as thick as cardstock. So if you have anything with any real weight, then it is going to make a difference. So make sure that you build it sturdy enough that it will hold. And then you can also cut it out, punch it, and stamp straight on it. So this is just some of the things that you can do with our designer series paper other than just layer it on cards. So we're done with that. So I'm going to set that stuff to the side. And for the next one, we can't have a video in this time of year with our holiday catalog out without doing a holiday card. So I call them Christmas cards. Hopefully you call them that as well. But in case you don't, we'll call it a holiday card. So my card base is my shaded spruce, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I want to do a landscape card, so I'm going to fold it down. Then I've got a crumb cake layer that I'm going to be using, and it is measured at 4 by 5 1/4, so 4 inches and 5 1/4. Okay, I'm going to set my card base over, and I went ahead and mounted my stamp. There it is in front of me. So I'm just going to make a background out of this plaid stamp here. I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp some trees. And it doesn't matter if they're not perfect because the paper is, I think I'm going to put this underneath here. Sometimes with the photopolymers, the clear stamps, you need a foam mat or something underneath it just to give it that extra cushion. So, yep, that seems to be making the difference. And I don't worry about getting ink on my foam mat. It's not going to hurt it. Hasn't seemed to do anything to it yet. Seems to be working for me just fine. And I'm going to get it to where I can see a little bottom of the tree there. Again, this bottom part doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to cover most of it up anyway. It's just to kind of give it a little interest of a background there. So I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to close up my ink pad. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this down so that I don't lose it. I'm just going to use my snail. And I'm going to layer down here, right? Just going to kind of eyeball it and line her up. So there's that part done. So next I'm going to take these two pieces here. Actually, this piece goes on next. I'm just going to snail him. And this piece is out of the red plaid as well, and I'll show you the paper that this comes out of in a minute. It is 1.5 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to kind of line him up and just stick him down, okay? Now this is our gold foil. It may reflect kind of crazy and get really shiny on the camera, but I'm just going to layer it behind another pattern of my paper and just magic like that. Now this plaid paper, I'll go ahead and show it to you here, is in our holiday catalog. It's called the Wrapped in Plaid Specialty Designer Paper, and it comes in our 6x6. And it's got some awesome patterns in it where one side has the gold foil accents on it. So it just really gives it some fun, right? You got the different main bold colors in there. So if you're one of those traditional dark colors for your holiday cards, this pattern may just be for you. And you can see that the back side has some basic patterns to it as well. So not everything in there is just the plaid. So I'm just going to layer this on here. And because this is kind of foiled, I'm going to just put a little glue back here. I just like the glue for whenever I get so many layers high on my paper, on my cards. I just think it holds better. So you see what I mean by it didn't really matter if some of those trees were perfect or not. I was going to cover them up. There you go. So this piece, this plaid piece, is cut at 3 by 4. And the gold piece is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. So I just wanted just a little bit of that gold behind it to shine through, so it just gave it some of that interest. And that red back here acts as a little contrast. So my next one, I'm taking to some of my burlap ribbon, and I'm going to lay him down. So I'm just going to put me quite a bit of snail here. And I'm just going to lay this down. Okay, just like so. Pretty good, right? Okay, so next, that is not the right piece. This is right here. So I've got a scrap piece of my crumb cake cardstock here, the same brown that I've got here. I'm going to take my Christmas tree that I was using a minute ago, and I'm going to stamp him in my cherry cobbler. Ink it up real good and hold it for a couple of seconds because it's that solid image. Yep, all pretty. This is the coordinating tree punch that goes with this stamp set. And I guess I should show you the stamp set, shouldn't I? And this is the Perfectly Plaid stamp set, and it's got the coordinating punch. So all these trees on here will work with this punch. So this, you can buy this at a bundle. So you can get 2 units at once, and if you use that bundle item code, you do get 10% off. So definitely worth it to use it. Go ahead and get both items. So my tree didn't want to come out. So there's my tree. I'm going to stick my punch away. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. So do I want it in green or red? I think I'm going to do him in red. So I'm just going to kind of stamp this here. Yep, pretty. And this punch, I'm sorry, I should have wrote the name down and I didn't. I will post it later whenever I post this to my blog. I'm just going to turn it over and punch it out. But it is in our annual catalog. So if you're looking for this one, it's in there. So there's that. So I'm just going to pop this up. 1, 2. Buckle my shoe, right? If it had buckles. Just going to lay that there. And then I'm going to come in and do this piece the same way. Just going to pop him up. I think I'm going to go ahead and use 3 on him. Pull my little tops off. Toss them. And stick this down. I think I'm going to put it up here. No, I'll put it right here. Not quite, like I said, my OCD kicks in whenever I do this. So don't mind me sometimes. There we go. Sometimes it's just not achieving the look that you want. You just kind of play with it until you get it. So there's that. And of course, it wouldn't be a Christmas tree if it didn't have a couple of ornaments or something on it, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of decorate my tree. Put him 2, 3. These are our little gold pearls. They just work really great and coordinate just so pretty with the gold plaid here. So there's that. So this is for the inside of my card so that I have something I can write on because that green is so dark. Actually, I think I'm just going to snail this. See what I mean by these things going everywhere? They show up when you don't want them to. So if you want to have some fun, after I post this video, post in the comments where you've had those little dimensional covers show up. That could be a fun little game, right? Just where all have yours popped up. So I'm just going to come in here and put this down. And if I had one cut, I would put just a strip of that designer series paper in there if you have scraps. You can always do that to really make it match and coordinate. I just don't have one pre-cut to the size that I need. So I guess I just didn't think that last little part through, but that's okay. So there's our card, and there's our little box. So you can see the difference in some of the designer series paper and hopefully have some ideas of what you can do with them. So you can use multiple patterns on one card to do layering, and then you can use them to make 3D projects, die cut and punch out of them, and stamp straight on the paper. So I hope you've enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them here or send me an email. I'd love it if you would go check me out at trishstamps.com. All these items are available through my website as well. So if you'd like to purchase them, let me know. And if you do not have a demonstrator, please reach out to me and I'll be glad to help you. For those of you that live local to me, class is going to be this Friday night. So if you haven't RSVP'd to that, you have a couple hours left to get in on that. So jump in while you can. Got just a couple of spots left. Would love to have you come in and join us, and hopefully we'll see you there. So tune in next week. Hopefully I'll get this comment portion going and we can interact a little bit better because I'm a little frustrated, but it'll be okay. We'll get there, I promise. But thank you for your spending some time with me, and have a great week. Bye.